Just got back from a great day on the foreshore in London with Nick White from Tideline Art, so it was always a pleasure to lark with her. And 6 hours ago, this is what happened. The colour of this caught my eye because it's green, copper alloy. It's probably the remains of a lace chape, which would have been on the end of a lace to help it thread through the hole. Difficult to date, but definitely post-medieval, possibly Tudor or Jacobean when they enjoyed their laces a lot. Anyway, worth keeping.
Looks like a possible candidate for Tideline art. Orphanage. And that's strange. I think it's got a little face underneath this hair.
It looks deliberately placed there, doesn't it, I think?
Actually, yeah, you're right, it does. It looks like it's seen a couple of tides, a bit like the poor pirates that were hanging on the gibbet. The tides come
some
up
sort
and
of
down.
Yeti or something, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what, we could. I'll leave it there, and then maybe get it on the way back.
Part of the wildlife of the tent.
Yeah.
Right under the bridge. Excuse the helicopter, this is Midlands purple, or butter pot ware, because a lot of butter was imported into London in the 17th and early 18th century in these tall cylindrical vessels. It's very hard, like a stoneware, made in the Midlands obviously. More Midlands purple. Submerged roof tile with a nail hole.
Right.
So Nick, what do you think you picked up there? Sharp-eyed Nick.
Well, I picked up this, and initially I thought it was a boar tusk.
Yes.
But
shape,
now,
isn't it?
yeah, if you have a look at it there, it's very, very sharp. But now I'm wondering whether it could possibly be a bear claw. I mean, I'm kind of hoping that it is like a bear claw. There used to be some bear baiting pits across the river, and as you said earlier, that's where bears were killed for their grease, weren't they? So
yeah, that's right.
It's either a bear claw or a...
Tudor times onwards, good family entertainment, baiting bears with dogs, and then for the man about the house to slick back his hair, they used to extract the bile from bears, or the grease from their backs, didn't they, and from the fat and boil it down to make bear's grease. Not impossible that a bear claw could reach the Thames.
So I'll keep you updated on that. I'll let you know
Yeah, I'd love to
when I
know.
find out.
Great find, Nick.
Thank you.
Well spotted. This is probably a bit of Flemish tile because it's got a pinhole in the corner where they used to hold it while they cut it from the mould. Glazed on one side. So simple floor tile, could be 16th or 17th century. A better pipe than last time.
Oh, very nice.
18th century with that large bowl. And it's got an I, which could be a J.
Yeah.
So I or J written the same way in the 18th century, and an S on the other side. So
very
make
nice.
a JS or IS.
Yeah.
Ian Smith or John Smith.
Could be.
But it's nearly complete. So I'm going to keep that one.
Yeah, that's lovely.
I'm not going to smoke it though.
No, I'm very disappointed. And
a little bit of slipware, it's very warm.
Oh, that's nice.
The river's worn away, the glaze. You can just see it had that sort of rope entwined pattern on it, so it's probably borderware, probably 17th century.
Okay.
I think it's been in the river since then. And a bit of plain tile.
Oh, that's nice. So that's a bit of floor tile.
Yes, that's right.
Lovely colours, actually.
Yeah, quite worn. This is probably Flemish because it's got a pinhole in the corner, and that's what they used to do in Holland and in Belgium. When they took them out of the mould, they would hold them in place with a thing with 4 pins on each corner. So you get a pinhole in the corner.
Very nice.
Which you don't get so much in English time. A little bit of Victorian stoneware. Victorian salt glazed stoneware, OND, presumably London. Maybe there's not more of it. Left or maybe I guess maker's mark or a brewer's identity from it. Another bit of Roman nestling on the foreshore. Doing well with my Roman today. Again, it's colour coated ware, but this is the rim of a little beaker or drinking cup. So that's a nice find. Another bit of Roman pottery to add to the day's haul.
Yeah.
I've just picked up, just saw it through the water, a little bit of Roman pottery, colour coated, so it's got a slip, black coloured slip on it, but it's actually the rim of the little cup or
that's
small
nice.
jug,
yeah.
which is nice. So you can see, very beautifully potted, all the Roman pottery, quite thin, and they really had an eye for making pottery.
They certainly did, didn't they?
Strange alien root that's washed in from who knows where. Very exciting. More grey coloured pottery. I think this is probably grey ware as well. Just a body shard from a big storage jar. One to put back, I think. There's a massive tooth there. Probably big enough to be a cow or a horse, I would imagine.
Now I've just pulled this piece of pottery out of the mud. It's got an interesting little rim at the base there. I shall show that to Richard. See what he thinks. I've got something to run by you here, Richard. This here, I just like the frilly
fantastic
base.
That is a fantastic find.
Is it?
Yes.
It's a fantastic find!
It's a German stoneware drinking jug,
Oh!
but it's 16th century.
My
so
goodness,
it's the
that
ones
is...
before the Bartman face jugs.
That's
and
before.
it has that little frilled edges. And if you go into all the old paintings, like the peasant wedding,
Yes.
there's people using these sort of jugs in the
Gosh.
16th century. And they found them on the Mary Rose as well. So
Oh my
1547, wasn't it?
So 16th century
Yeah, German stoneware drinking jug.
drinking jug.
Yeah, from Germany, Raren, that sort of industry.
Well, just look at that. Something 16th century already. Well, I'm very, very pleased with that.
Yeah, that's a really nice find.
Thank you.
Well, here's an interesting piece of medieval pottery. It's the leg, or probably off a cauldron, but it's sort of like a skeuomorph. In other words, you're imitating in one material and made from another. So I think it's like imitating a cauldron foot that would normally be in copper alloy or brass, metal, and they've made it in pottery, and then you can see where it's been sat in the fire and got a bit sooted there. So nice little find.
Oh no.
Hi, this is Tracy from Bear Country in Alaska, but she's just made a beautiful find, piece of a medieval floor tile. So they've impressed a design and filled it with a yellow contrasting colour of clay. Pen style tile, end of the 14th century. So what a wonderful thing. That'd be used in churches, chapels, merchants' houses, rich houses in London. So nice find, well done.
Great, thank you.
Now that's nice. That's pretty, isn't it? I'm going to ask Richard about this. That's lovely. Got a nice piece of pottery here, Richard. I think.
What have you picked up?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, that is beautiful. That's the Metropolitan slipware from Harlow in Essex. So that's really nice. Yeah,
Metropolitan slipware.
Metropolitan slipware, Harlow in Essex, 1630 to 1720.
Very nice.
Yes, it's got the beautiful trailed pattern on it. So
Lovely.
yeah, that's a really nice find.
Would that have come from a dish, a serving dish?
I think it's an open form, so a dish or a charger, and it's obviously a floral pattern, I think, isn't it?
Yeah,
like
it's
a
very
flower
pretty.
with leaves underneath it. But yeah, if you find a whole piece, then you're talking Sotheby's or Christie's.
Ooh, well, I'll
Victoria and Albert Museum, that sort of
I'll keep
thing.
looking.
Yes, but it's a beautiful bit of English slipware.
Oh, thank you.
Yes. So this large chunky piece of pottery with a sort of white slip remains of on the outside is part of a post-medieval Spanish or possibly Portuguese olive oil jar.
Olive oil jar, oh my
Yeah.
goodness, like those huge ones on the shipwrecks.
Yeah, that's right. You find them on the sort of Spanish Armada shipwrecks, and in the New World, you know, wherever the Spanish went, they took their olive oil with them. So they're very large, hand-thrown containers, like the successors to the amphorae of the Roman period, made of the same sort of clay and the same sort of area. But instead of wine, it's more likely to be olive oil that
Right,
they were
okay.
transporting this time.
Very nice. Gosh, such a variety of things, isn't it?
Yeah, nice fit to find, thank you. This little fellow, from the shape of the rim, I'm pretty sure is Roman greyware. So although it's a very unprepossessing looking lump of clay, it's nice to pick up something from Roman London this morning.
What have you got there, Richard?
A little grey bit of clay,
Yeah.
which from the shape of the rim being rounded, I'm pretty sure is Roman greyware, maybe from Alice Holt or Hertfordshire, somewhere like that. So yeah, just the rim of a humble storage pot, but taking us back to Roman London,
Yeah.
which is a nice...
Can you explain a little bit about why we get a significant amount of Roman in this area?
Well, the city of London, the original square mile, was the original Roman settlement.
Right, okay.
So all the suburbs weren't settled by the Romans. So you do get a lot of thing, and also because they embanked the foreshore in Victorian times,
Yeah.
when they were digging out all the office buildings and all the basements, they wouldn't do any archaeology. They'd just dig out the soil, dump it behind the revetments, and now of course that's eroding, and you do find a lot of Roman pottery in this part of the foreshore, which I think probably comes from the Victorian basements, because it's not stratified or
Right.
archaeologically
Okay.
placed.
Super. So all that history all jumbled up on the foreshore.
Absolutely, yeah. What will we find?
So I've just spotted a coin here, Richard, down here, look.
Oh Well spotted.
So let's have a look to see
The
what it
metal detectors don't get everything.
So let's see what it is. It's quite thin.
It is thin, isn't it?
Yeah. Or hopefully it's not going to be so worn that we won't be able to see. Well, I don't.
Quite warm.
Oh, hang on. It's Is it Victoria?
No,
No.
that's William
Oh, look at that.
III. So fresh up, that is William III.
Yay! Well done.
Which is what, 1689 to 1702, I think. But that's beautiful. What is it, silver or is it copper? Or?
No, but look at that wonderful.
That is just insane.
That wonderful profile there, and oh, I'm so thrilled. And what's this next to it? There, sort of something.
Looks like part of a lead seal.
Maybe some kind
Part
of.
a lead seal.
Might be part of a lead seal there as well.
2 for the price of 1.
Yeah, 2 for the price of 1. So I'll have a look at that later. But oh my
Yes.
goodness! So that has got to be my find.
Another 18th century clay pipe stuck in there with a reasonable amount of stem. So yeah, that big bowl, 18th century, no maker's mark. Oh hang on, yes there's a maker's mark on it, sorry. It looks like IS, which would be, if you hold the bowl away from you, the I would be the Christian name and the S would be the surname of the maker, so maybe I would also be J. So something like John Smith, so a fairly common combination of letters, I feel. But I'm going to keep that one.
So what have you got there?
Well, it's plain white, but you can see by the sort of slightly orangey peeled surface
Yes.
that it's salt glazed stoneware. But it's the white variety, which is 18th century, and made in huge quantities in Staffordshire and other places. But this sort of started the decline of Delftware because it's a much more durable product. And often plain, sometimes scratch blue decoration, sometimes printed, rarely transferred.
And when does that date to?
They started making it about 1710, 1720, and it goes on to about 1780.
Okay.
So the high point is sort of 1740 to 1760. Where nearly everybody would have had a tea service. So this is the base of a tea bowl.
Okay.
You can just see the little.
Oh yeah, the little bit at the bottom. There.
Yeah, and then you'd get teapots and sugar and creamer, and have a whole tea service of this stuff. So yeah,
Marvellous.
very middle class bit of London pottery.
Excellent.
Nick has found this large intriguing piece of pot, which I'm going to say, even if it's a plant pot, I'm going to lie and say it's something exciting. So,
Yes, so the other day near Greenwich I pulled this great big pot out of the mud, and first of all I thought it was a sugar cone. I got quite excited, but it's not cone shaped, but I'm hoping that it might be quite old. So I've got a few other bits and pieces as well. So here it is. I have stuck some bits back together on it.
yeah,
And it's glazed inside.
it is, isn't it? Look at that. That's fantastic. You've got the whole profile. Yeah, you're right. It's not a sugar cone, but I think it probably the second part of the process. So the cone would go above and sit on that, and you drain away the molasses into this because it's very, very solid at the bottom. So it would support the weight of the cone above it.
So it's not a modern plant pot from
Definitely
B&Q
not
then.
a plant pot, and I'm not lying. I cross my fingers. It's definitely the truth. Yes, so that's definitely industrial redware. So that'd be 16th, 17th, or 18th century. Probably 17th or 18th century.
Wow, I'm so thrilled with that.
That's a lovely find.
Okay, well that's great. Now on the 13th of September in the afternoon, I'm doing a little talk about mudlarking finds related to food and drink. It's called a Mudlark's Feast, bringing to life Thames revelry and dining, and Richard has kindly brought along some pieces of pottery which relate to dining and the kitchen or people eating. And there's so much pottery on the foreshore, and it's so linked to food and drink. So Richard has got some really nice bits here that he's just going to talk to us a little bit about and how they're related to the kitchen or the dining room.
Yeah, obviously pottery changes according to fashion, but also according to people's dietary habits. So the way people ate and what they ate and drank is reflected in the pottery, and that's often a useful thing for dating it.
Yeah.
So starting with the Iron Age, I mean the Iron Age is just simple cooking pots, you know, bucket shaped, and that goes on for thousands of years. Just at the end of the Iron Age you start to get the elite, the tribal leaders, start to import things from the Roman Empire.
Yeah.
They import amphorae with wine, and they import the jugs and the little drinking cups to drink the wine out of, but that was purely an elite function. So you don't really get a lot of pottery evidence for food and drink until you get to the Roman period.
Right, okay.
Which is on my lap here.
Let's see. Okay, so that's Roman.
Yeah, I didn't bring any amphora shards with me because they're just too heavy and big. But once you decant your wine, you put it into a flagon. So this is like a round neck with the handles coming off the neck, and then quite a bulbous body, and you pour your wine into your cups through that. So Roman flagon.
Okay.
Tableware, obviously everyone's heard, if you've watched the Time Team, you've heard of the Samian ware, and they always get inordinately excited when they find some. So yes, good slip coated, fine bodied, beautifully made tableware, open forms like bowls and plates, cups, jugs, mortaria. That's a beautiful moulded bit. It's got an archer on it with a palm tree.
Oh yes, lovely.
Probably hunting lions, I should think.
Doubtlessly.
Yeah. And then, like the bit we found earlier, a little hunt cup. So this is it don't look like it, but it's actually a hunting dog.
Oh.
And he'd be chasing a hare, because there's no rabbits in the Roman Empire until the Normans introduced them. So rabbits are not a Roman thing. You get hares, but not rabbits.
Okay.
So he's chasing a rabbit or maybe a deer around this little drinking cup. So you pour it from your flagon into your drinking cup and have that. And some of them have mottos on them in Latin, like drink or fine wine, don't mix with water, you know, keep it strong, that sort of thing. And then the more humble pottery, cooking pots and storage vessels are still, you know, very simple, round-rimmed, grey, black wares for the kitchen and to put in the fire. And they often get sooted. And then this little bit of mortarium. So it's got obvious grits on the inside, different colours of chips of stone and flint, and then smooth on the outside. And then you would grind your sauces, olive oil, fish, herbs, and you'd have a big spout to pour it out. But some of these are sooted underneath, so they did cook things in them. You know, once they'd made the sauce, they'd warm it up, and that would flavour your Roman food. So that's from a Roman kitchen found here in London on the foreshore.
Oh, super. I just love thinking of it on the table of a family back in Roman times, and now here you are holding it.
Yes, it's a real buzz to pick up anything like that.
Yeah.
But then after the Romans left, you get probably about 800 years where you just get cooking pots. Simple pottery you put in the fire. That's a medieval example. It's got a bit of sooting round the rim. And then it'd just be a saggy bottomed thing that you'd nestle into the ashes of the fire and cook a stew with. So really in the medieval period you don't get individual plates, you don't get individual cups. You probably would eat off a bit of stale bread. If you were rich you might have something made of horn or wood, turned wood. And jugs. So you do get jugs obviously in the medieval period for serving liquids. This is a bit of a highly decorated jug where they roller stamped decoration onto it. So this would be about 1270 to 1350.
Wow.
But most medieval jugs are quite plain, simple affairs. Most of the medieval period just get very simple jugs, very simple cooking pots, until right at the end of the medieval period you start to get a little bit more sophistication in eating and drinking. So you get the bunghole system. So this would be at the base of a large pot, and it's for brewing. So you'd brew hops to make beer, and that really only comes in widespread in the 15th century, so the 1400s. And you start to get cooking pots with a rim seating. So instead of a plain rim like that, you'd get something with that shape that you can put a lid onto. So you're getting a little bit more sophisticated, you know, you can use it like a slow cooker perhaps, or to stew things. And you start to get imported from Germany in stoneware individual drinking jugs. So this would be served from a big jug into your own individual jug. So you get that coming in the 15th century, some 1450 onwards, and a little frilled base there. And this sort of heralds in the post-medieval period when you get a lot more sophistication and you start to get pewter, metal cooking pots, brass and iron much more frequently, so you get far fewer ceramic cooking pots. But yeah, to move forward into the post-medieval period, then the classic cooking shape now becomes the pipkin. So you've got this three-legged fin, there's two legs, there would have been another leg there, and a little hollow handle. These would have had lids as well, so the hollow handle helps it to stay cool when you pick it up off the fire. But again, they're just meant to be pushed into the ashes of the fire to cook stews and sauces. So
those are both from pipkins?
Yes, obviously different sizes, which is why this is massive. But you get them in red clay and white clay. The borderware ones are closed off from the body. The London ones, the handle goes right through into the body. But these are classic, come in the 16th century and run right through to the very beginning of the 18th century when they die out for reasons I will explain in a minute.
How are you?
So these are two very distinctive things, and you've got the rim of the pot here, and then you've got these projections which rise up above the rim. And you have two or three of these, or three or four, around the rim of your chafing dish. So it's like a pot, pipkin shaped, but it'd have basically holes in the bottom and then a little base where you could put hot charcoal or coals, and the heat would rise up, and then you'd balance a dish of food on the top there to keep it warm. So it's basically like a hostess tray for the 16th, 17th and early 18th century. That's probably a borderware one.
Super.
Latest that would be 1700.
Okay.
And that's a little one. But yeah, very nice finds.
Thank you. Richard, you've got a YouTube channel, haven't you?
Oh yes, I have. You can look me up, just Richard Hemery.
Yes, I highly recommend watching Richard's YouTubes, and
Thank you.
they are full of very useful information about not only pottery, but lots of pottery. And also, you've got an Instagram account, haven't you?
I have Thames_pottery.
Thames_pottery, there you are,
Yes.
quite easy to remember.
Yeah.
And also, just tell me a little bit about your book and where people can get it.
Oh yes, well I mean I started knowing very little about pottery. So I'd pick up things that looked old and I'd have no idea what they were. So about 15 years of research later, I'm now getting a little bit of a handle, if you'll excuse the pun, on identifying pottery. And I started writing notes and putting photographs together, and before I knew it I'd written a book.
As you do.
Yes. It's not in print yet, but you can download a PDF copy, check it out on eBay, Richard Hemery Pottery, and it cost a mere £2.99.
Oh well,
All your
that's
pottery questions will be
an
answered.
absolute bargain. So get on there, go onto eBay and download Richard's pottery book.
Thank
I
you.
did. Okay. Come on, Richard, the tide's coming up. You've got to come back. Time to stop.
One more bit of pottery.
Honestly. Well, the tide's on the way up. Managed to get Richard off of the foreshore. I know it's been a while, Richard, but doesn't time fly when you're having fun?
I know. A wonderful couple of hours. Thank you, Nick. It's been really good.
No, thank you very much, Richard. Honestly, it's just great to be able to learn about these pieces of pottery, and I feel my knowledge today has been enriched many times.
Yes, good. Well, I'm glad to hear that. Thank you, Nick. It's been a pleasure.